After the events of the first film, where a broken war veteran wages war against a small town and is finally captured, he now sits behind bars with nothing left to lose. But a new mission offers him freedom, at the cost of returning to the nightmare he barely survived. And this time, the betrayal waiting for him may be far more dangerous than the enemy itself. In a sun-scorched quarry, prisoner John Rambo is pulled from hard labor when his former commander, Colonel Troutman, arrives with an offer.
How are you, Johnny? Good.
Troutman, who once led him during the Vietnam War, secures a chance to free Rambo if he agrees to a mission: return to Vietnam and infiltrate a jungle camp to confirm whether American POWs are still alive.
Recon for POWs in Nam.
Though disillusioned and reluctant to revisit the place of his past torture, Rambo weighs the mission against years of continued imprisonment and considers accepting. Colonel Troutman knows what John Rambo truly wants and offers him a deal: complete the mission, survive, and earn a presidential pardon along with temporary reinstatement in the Army.
There may be a presidential pardon.
He is then flown to a U.S. base in Thailand. If you're enjoying this recap so far, make sure to hit the like button. There he meets Troutman and Marshal Murdoch, who questions whether Rambo can follow orders after his past troubles. Murdoch explains that thousands of Americans are still listed missing from the Vietnam War.
2,500 Americans still missing in action.
And their families demand answers. Rambo's mission is clearly defined: infiltrate the enemy camp and gather photographic proof of surviving POWs, with strict orders to avoid any combat, as only solid evidence can justify a rescue operation. Though John Rambo says little, he clearly resents the idea of abandoning soldiers, and the anger builds within him. Colonel Troutman briefs him on the mission: a solo parachute drop with advanced equipment and a rendezvous with a local contact, while command monitors him remotely. At the base, Marshal Murdoch insists everything will go smoothly.
Because we have the most advanced weapons in the world available.
But Rambo distrusts him, sensing the mission isn't as straightforward as it seems. Before leaving, he arms himself with his knife, rifle, and explosive arrows, learns he has 36 hours to finish, and quietly tells Troutman he knows Murdoch lied about his past, making it clear he'll only trust the colonel.
You're the only one I trust.
As the operation begins, Murdoch privately reveals the mission is more about public image than rescue, but Rambo is determined to prove otherwise. During the night jump, disaster strikes when his parachute malfunctions, dragging him dangerously behind the plane.
Shit, what's happening? The turbulence! He's hung up!
Forced to cut himself loose, he loses most of his equipment, but still manages to fall into the jungle alive, alone, and off the grid. Marshal Murdoch pushes to abort the mission, but Colonel Troutman insists they stick to the plan and wait at extraction. On the ground, John Rambo presses on with minimal gear, navigating the jungle with stealth and precision until he reaches the rendezvous point, where he ambushes a figure who turns out to be Ko Bao, his local contact. She reveals the POW camp is long abandoned, but offers an alternative plan, leading him to river pirates who, after a tense but successful payoff, help them travel upstream. During the journey, Rambo learns the pirates handle patrols with heavy weapons, while Ko Bao questions why he returned to the Vietnam War zone.
How'd you get into this?
He admits the war never really ended for him, and that he feels more alive in conflict, while she dreams of escaping violence and starting a peaceful life in America. As they share their contrasting views, Rambo quietly reveals how isolated he feels, seeing himself as expendable, while she clings to hope through her small personal charm, contrasting his reliance on his knife. While Colonel Troutman pushes to move toward extraction, despite resistance from Marshal Murdoch,
I want to go out with the extraction team at dawn.
Denied.
John Rambo and Ko Bao reach the seemingly abandoned camp at night. Ignoring orders to only gather evidence, Rambo infiltrates the compound and discovers American POWs in horrific conditions. He rescues one prisoner, Banks, and the trio escapes after silently taking down multiple guards with knives and arrows. Promising to return for the others, they flee into the jungle, but are soon tracked by enemy. As they push toward the river, Banks, weak and unaware the Vietnam War ended a decade ago, reveals the prisoners are constantly moved for labor. They board a pirate boat, now close to extraction, but enemy forces intercept their signal and dispatch a patrol to stop them. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel before watching ahead. As a patrol boat closes in, pirates betray John Rambo for a reward, but he reacts instantly, killing them with hidden blades, reclaiming his weapons, and destroying the pursuing boat with a rocket launcher before escaping into the water and regrouping with Kobau and Banks. They push toward extraction, sharing a brief goodbye before coming under heavy fire.
Rambo, you're not expendable.
Forcing Rambo to drag the weakened prisoner through a rice field. Above, Colonel Troutman finally spots them.
That's Rambo!
But at command, Marshal Murdoch panics upon learning a live POW has been found and orders an immediate abort.
To abort the mission immediately. I say again,
Despite Troutman's protests, he is restrained, and the helicopter turns away, leaving Rambo and the others stranded. Left behind as the helicopter turns away, John Rambo desperately fights off advancing soldiers, but is eventually overwhelmed and captured along with Banks, while Kobau can only watch from hiding. Back at base, Colonel Troutman erupts at Marshal Murdoch, who coldly admits the mission was never about rescue.
It was a lie, wasn't it? Just like the whole damn war.
But about easing public pressure, revealing that Rambo was expected to return empty-handed and be forgotten. He justifies it as political necessity, warning that proof of surviving POWs could trigger backlash or even another war, while Troutman realizes the betrayal runs deeper, tied to unresolved tensions from the Vietnam War, and storms off, declaring Murdoch's biggest mistake is underestimating Rambo.
Yeah, what mistake?
Rambo.
Meanwhile, Rambo endures brutal torture, buried neck-deep in a pit of waste, covered in leeches, chained, and later electrocuted by Soviet officers led by Lieutenant Colonel Podolsky, who try to force him to send a warning message back to his command. Even after hearing intercepted transmissions confirming he was abandoned, Rambo refuses to cooperate, enduring repeated shocks without breaking. Kobau infiltrates the camp disguised as a comfort worker, silently kills a guard, and arms herself, setting the stage to rescue Rambo before the torture finally kills him. During interrogation, Lieutenant Colonel Podolsky brings in Banks to break John Rambo as torture escalates, his face burned and his comrade threatened. But Banks urges him to resist. Rambo appears to give in and is forced onto the radio, where Marshal Murdoch and Colonel Troutman listen. But instead of surrendering, he suddenly attacks, using the moment to strike back. With help from Kobau, who storms in firing, he breaks free, kills his captors, and escapes into the jungle. Once again becoming the hunter, despite being pursued by troops and helicopters. As they regroup, Kobau tends to his wounds and dreams of leaving for America with him.
You take me with you?
And the two share a brief moment of hope, but it ends abruptly when they walk into an ambush. Kobau is fatally shot, and Rambo, enraged, wipes out the attackers but fails to save her. Back at base, Troutman demands a rescue, but Murdoch refuses and has him arrested, tightening control as the situation spirals further. In the jungle, John Rambo buries Kobau and turns his mission into vengeance, using stealth and guerrilla tactics to eliminate pursuing Vietnamese and Soviet forces before killing her attacker. When Sergeant Yushin attacks by helicopter, Rambo dives into a lake, boards the aircraft mid-fight, kills the crew, and takes control, using it to destroy the POW camp and free the prisoners. As they escape, Lieutenant Colonel Podolsky pursues and nearly brings him down. But Rambo destroys the gunship in a last-second counterattack and limps back to base. His return sparks panic in Marshal Murdoch, while Colonel Troutman takes charge, and Rambo crash lands before arming himself and marching forward for a final confrontation. Inside the base, John Rambo storms the operations room and opens fire, destroying the command center before confronting Marshal Murdoch, who tries to justify his actions as following orders.
I don't make the orders. I take them just like you.
Rambo nearly kills him, but holds back, instead demanding that he take action to save the remaining American POWs still suffering abroad. Outside, Colonel Troutman meets him as medics treat the rescued soldiers, but Rambo rejects any recognition, saying the credit belongs to the men he saved. Refusing to return home, he admits he feels disconnected after the Vietnam War, yet insists he still loves his country and would fight for it again. What he truly seeks is respect and meaning for the sacrifices soldiers make.
For our country to love us as much as we.
Something he feels they never received. Choosing his own path, Rambo walks away, leaving Troutman behind, saying he will face life one day at a time. Thanks for watching. If you haven't seen the recap of the first part yet, be sure to check it out so you don't miss the full story.